I'm the convener of the AASWSA branch CPU committee, and I'd like to welcome you all here tonight. I think we're incredibly lucky to have Tony with us, and those of you who've heard or met Tony before will know how amazingly energetic he is. And he just flew in from England last night, 2 nights ago, and he's already been training other people, but I'm sure we're going to have a wonderful time tonight. Now, I'd just like to make sure that everybody's got a copy of the handout. There should be enough for everybody. Anybody who hasn't got a handout, sing out. No? Everybody's got a handout. That's terrific. Well, Tony is quite well known to many people. I first met Tony when he was working for the NSPCC in Rochdale, and a book had just come out called Dangerous Families that Tony was one of the contributors to, and I think people working here in Adelaide in child protection were really fascinated by this way of looking at the work, and ever since then there's been a connection between Tony and people here in South Australia, but also other parts of Australia. So he's pretty well known in Australia, and I think he has a bit of a fascination with our outback and has gone on some intrepid trips. And I think this weekend is planning to head up to the Flinders Ranges for a day trip or something like that. So Tony's experience is quite broad. He's working as a trainer and consultant in the UK, but also doing quite a lot of consultation and training in other places. His background is in children's services. He's got a special interest in attachment theory, and I have to tell you that he's been captured by some attachment theorists on this table, and they were quite reluctant to let me interrupt to say, let's get this show on the road. When I started talking to Tony about what he would present for us tonight, I was absolutely amazed at the resonance between the thinking that he was doing and conversations that I've been having here in Adelaide about the emotional impact of our work as social workers or child protection workers or in other fields of practice. What is the special component of our work that helps us to deal with our own emotions and helps us to deal with other people's emotions? So I think we're just going to have a wonderful presentation from Tony tonight. So he will speak for about 50 minutes, and he's asked if you'd hold your questions till he's finished, but then we've got plenty of time for questions, half an hour, 3/4 of an hour time for questions, as much as you want, I'm sure. So please welcome Tony.
Thank you very much, and a special thanks to Donnie. It's really lovely to come amongst friends when you're so far away from home, and I mean, this is the 4th time that I've been to Adelaide, I think, and we've always met. And in fact, Donnie looked after myself and my family when we arrived on what's it called, the Golden Road, the Great Ocean Road. I just remember it as being golden compared to Blackpool. And Donnie looked after us, and then Donnie and her family have been across. So it's been a really continuing friendship, and so I was delighted to come and just meet Donnie, but also to meet all of you. And it's possible that some of us have met in a former life somewhere. I use that word very loosely, because I have done some teaching for, and I don't know what the department's currently called, for when I was last chair, the Family and Children's Department or Youth. Yeah, Families SA. Well, whoever you are, it's really nice to see you. You'll forgive me if I can't absolutely remember you. I'm normally thought to be quite good with names, but a friend recently played a trick on me that destabilised my confidence. This chap I knew very well, we were at a conference, his name is Richard, and he came up to me, and Richard said hello, and that was fine. I said hello to Richard, and this woman came up to me and said, oh, hello, Tony. And I sort of went through this rigmarole of sort of saying, well, I never forget a face, you know, I might not get the name, so I must have met you somewhere, and went through a number of possibilities before she, after about a minute and a half, said, I've never met you in my life. And you can see the connection with attachment, can't you? So I was delighted to have the chance to talk with you about, oh, the water's in the way. Right, okay. I've just remembered that they're going to video this. so I just will be a few minutes, you know. My children had to review a video. Somebody sent me a video and a similar thing, and I had to review it to see if it was okay. So I sat quietly in my front room. My children came in, who were, you know, teenagers, and they were completely aghast that their father was in any way coherent, because this had not been an experience that had happened at home. This was followed by, do they pay you to speak like this to people? And followed by, you wouldn't be allowed to speak to us, Dad, like that. So I'm not going to show them the video, even if it comes out okay. I thought it would be really timely for us to have a conversation about emotion. And this is kind of part of and an elaboration of a paper of mine that's currently sitting in the electronic part of the British Journal of Social Work, because they have a lot of papers, and what they do is they shove it in the electronic sort of bit. So if you want a reference, there is a reference which I can give you towards the end, which has an incredibly complicated series of numbers. But I think if you just, I'll do it at the end, and we'll make sure you can get access to it. Let me think. I've been very interested in the role of emotion for several years, and you can see the link with attachment. But I guess I was provoked to write something about it. Really, three things came together. Firstly, I'm the external examiner for the Queen's Belfast MSc in Advanced Social Work in Belfast. And I began musing on the difference between the people who were getting 70% and the 50%ers. And what was abundantly clear was that these top social workers who were getting 75% at the end of an advanced award, when you read their dissertations, these people didn't just pass, they flew. And they flew because they brought together cognition, affect, and skillful behaviour. And they did it effortlessly. It felt like I was just reading a person in flight. Where the 50%ers flapped. So they had to show me this wing, and then that wing, and then both wings together. And it was really clear that something very fundamentally different was going on. And that there was something about the fluency that was to do with the integration of thought, feeling, and skill, which could not be captured in separate competencies. These were people who were deeply competent with a singular, not who showed lots of different competencies. And the second strand was that I do a lot of mentoring for poor performance. And over the last 5 or 6 years, it's become increasingly clear to me that the people who I'm asked to mentor or to talk with managers about are people who are in deep trouble emotionally and sometimes morally. And that it's not their technical skills or knowledge that are at fault, although some of them might need some help with that. The thing that makes them challenging across professions, this is nothing to do with social work, is that they have fundamental difficulties in the areas of emotional awareness, empathy, and being able to regulate their behaviour in a goal-directed manner.